Minister, in Slough, we're finding that there are more and more vulnerable and homeless people on our streets, and many of them are actually coming over from London. So what's being done to help councils such as Slough?
Right. I brought along 2 sets of papers, and one of those sets of papers had all the Slough statistics in it, which is pretty astonishing. And then I'm looking at this bit of paper and I can't find it.
So, shall I start off?
You start off about Slough. You start off about Slough.
I visited Slough about 6 months ago in relation to their rough sleeping numbers. And actually, they had an investment from us through the Rough Sleeping Initiative, and were rather slow getting it in place, but it was a useful meeting with officers. There was certainly a significant number of people sleeping rough, including along the river there. What I would say also, though, is most local authorities give me the impression they feel like they have people coming in from other boroughs. And when that's unpicked, it often isn't the case. I think with Slough, there's every reason why the rough sleeping numbers shouldn't be really coming down quite significantly this year with the investment we've given them. The different interventions they were thinking of seem to be the right ones. In fact, they seem to be a good mix of emergency accommodation, outreach services. So I think Slough will be making further progress. But
and if they need more help, will that be forthcoming?
Well, as I said, they've had an allocation for 18-19 and another one for 19-20. They're one of the 83 local authorities that have received a significant investment. And again, similarly with the HAS, we have Rough Sleeping Initiative expert advisors who work very closely with Slough. Actually, when I was on the visit to Slough, I spoke with the Rough Sleeping Initiative advisor and the HAS advisor, because it's very important for us in government to make sure that we don't have an artificial separation between rough sleeping and wider forms of homelessness and homelessness prevention. But at that stage, they were really needing to move on at the kind of pace that other local authorities were achieving, because they'd had an allocation by about 3 or 4 months by that stage. But to reiterate, they seem to be moving at a different pace now, and those numbers should be able to come down.
Okay.
To put your mind at rest, in the again the experimental first quarter's figures, so April to June, 58 households were owed a new statutory. 58 households were owed a new statutory homeless duty in Slough. Of those, 30 were owed a new prevention duty, and 28 were owed a new relief duty. So those are the numbers that your council tell us they are dealing with.
Okay, well, look, you mentioned earlier about the £72.7 million in new burdens funding, which the government has allocated for the implementation of the Homelessness Reduction Act. But local authorities warned that that just would not be sufficient, and that was back in 2017. So, what's the reality been since the Act has been implemented?
Well, 2 things. You will know that there were changes in the law up in Scotland a while ago, and there were changes in the law in Wales a short while ago. And the difference in the figures in Wales are absolutely dramatic, in that the issues have reduced by 67%. So if the new burdens funding at 70 odd million, we feel that that will run well enough, and if our figures come down on homelessness anywhere near the amount that Wales has done, then that figure will be adequate for councils. But we were working on the basis that maybe the figures would reduce in the short run by 10%, a little bit longer, 20%, and then maybe 30%. Wales's figure is over 60%. So we feel at the moment new burden fund is okay. So I think maybe councils need to look and see what's happened in Wales.
Okay.
Well, again, I'd emphasise it would be looked at under the HRA review, the whole level of new burdens funding that was required, and also, actually more importantly, as part of the spending review.
Of course.
I think we mustn't forget that the flexible homelessness support grant is 617 million. It's a significant amount, and so we just need to make sure that we're clear about how the money's spent, and how actually, when local authorities are talking about the impact of the HRA, it is clear that the impact is due to the HRA when we're talking about new burdens funding, rather than something else that may have been an impact anyway. So there's part of making sure that what we're seeing is a very, very clear picture. But it's part of a wider settlement, isn't it, with local authorities that needs to be part of the spending review that we will certainly take very seriously.
Okay. Well, look, I hear what you're saying, Minister, but local authorities have told us that their prevention duties are proving more expensive to administer than anticipated, with a substantial increase in the number of people who are eligible for support. Mm-hmm. So will you provide additional funding for councils?
Well, again, good news, because Slough's original flexible homeless support grant was £486,000 and £486,007, mm-hmm. and in the year we gave an FHS top-up of another £167,000. So we are doing our best to shovel money out to your council.
Good. And that's going to be replicated nationally, yeah? So you will be...
Where there are issues, flexible support housing grant top-ups have gone out.
Okay, and does the government intend to provide additional funding beyond 2020? And if not, why not?
We are coming to the end of the spending review, and as I said earlier at the beginning, this is the number one domestic priority for our government and for me as Housing and Homelessness Minister, and we will be batting hard in the spending review to make sure that our local councils get the money they need to deal with the homelessness issue.
Okay, look forward to that. Thank you.